What is up, everybody, and welcome to the Get Your Bell Rung Football Podcast. He is Kevin Reynolds. I am Bobby Wall, and we are here to talk all things football and hit you with some takes that might rattle you up a bit. On today's show, we are going to discuss the week 4 that was in the NFL season. We'll obviously give you maybe some waiver wire pickups, although this is kind of a bleak week for the waiver wire. And obviously, those starts of the week will get you at the end. But first, Kevin Reynolds, how we doing?
Doing well, buddy. Low 80s here all week. Lovely,
Nice.
lovely weather for October.
Yeah, not bad. Not bad at all. I'm hoping I got a wedding up your way this coming weekend. I'm hoping you and I can actually get together face to face. Maybe share some football talk, share some beverages, whatever we can do.
When is this wedding?
It's Friday, but we may be around Saturday.
Oh, yeah, that would work out. Yeah, because Friday I won't be home, but Saturday I think I already let you know I'll be done at 1. So I need to meet for lunch, meet for beers, and do whatever we got to do there, homie.
Yeah, I'm rocking the Phils hat today. You see my Phillies last night? They're up 1-0.
No, I did not. Did they play?
They did. Yep, playoffs, wild card round, took down the Marlins. I like it.
Yeah, baseball used to be a way of life for me, more so than football even is now, but I couldn't name 20 people in Major League Baseball anymore.
There is an absolute 0% chance that I could name 20 people in baseball. And as much as I'm rooting for my Phillies come playoff time, I got to be honest, I texted my buddies and I said, I'm excited that tonight will be the first pitch that I've watched of the baseball season, knowing that I'm going to forget the game is on altogether, which I did. But one of my buddies reminded me, so I got to catch a few innings before I fell asleep.
Yeah, there you go. Because I don't know why. I just started losing interest years ago. We're at the point now that I just don't follow it at all. I just don't care. I wish I did, but I don't.
Well, I'll tell you what's a little more entertaining than baseball for me is the fact that the Bobby Wall injury curse struck again this past week. 2 of my starts of the week last week, Luke Musgrave and Javonte Williams, both went out. I'm pretty sure it was the first quarter for both of them with injuries. And that put a big damper on what could have been a very big week for me in the once and done.
Yeah, I got the Musgrave curse myself. Who was your other one?
Javonte.
Oh, yeah, because I didn't play him.
I started him
my
at
thing
2.
is, though, since you are such a Brown fantasy player, I wonder if you truly do follow through with your future plans and cut down to 2 leagues, if there'll be as many injuries, because when you have as many players as you do, you're bound to have some injuries. Though yours always seems it's like one of your 4, 5, 6, 58 teams seems to be heavily concentrated on one or the other. So it might not change.
You keep saying that I'm a Brown fantasy player, saying that I have all these leagues. I've tried to tell you, Kevin, I'm really only in 4 that I discuss and that I talk about. And when I have these injuries, like Javonte Williams, I have in 2 of those four leagues. Deontay Johnson, I have in 2 of those 4 leagues. It's not like it was one guy in League 1, one guy in League 8. It's not like that. It's not as brown as you make it sound. Okay. Okay. Yeah. So we have drops now, apparently. And unfortunately, Kevin is in charge of the drops. So it's going to lean very heavily pro Kevin, very negatively to the Bobby side. So the
problem is I have to stare at the screen to do it. I can't sit here and stare at that thing all the time. But I felt like throwing one in there as you preach to the world about all your shares of certain players and injuries. But you're right. I've got to realize that when you give your plays of the week, I just have to stay away from them because it's just stupid of me to play them. Though Musgrave seemed like a no-brainer. The Lions were like worst or second worst against a tight end. The dude's getting lots of targets, but he had 1 target, 1 catch, 1 yard, 1 concussion.
Yes, that's right. Oh man, what can you? Oh, and here's another part of fantasy football that's very aggravating and infuriating. In one of those leagues, I have one of my teams is 1-3. I'm in 11th place out of 12. I'm also the 2nd highest scoring team in the league. And that most of my leagues are in Yahoo, and I don't know that they have the the option to play against the league median like you do in your league. I prefer that because it helps eliminate some of that nonsense where you have the second highest scoring team in the league, but they're in next to last place. It sort of evens things out a little bit, and I much prefer that. Also eliminates bad beats. In my league of record, one of the guys got bad beat this week where he was the second highest scoring team in the league, but he went up against the highest scoring team in the league. So that's something
That's BS. That's why we instituted it long ago. It really it doesn't take away the luck of the schedule, obviously, but like say in your friend's case, he would have went 1-1 this week instead of 0-1 in a week that he essentially dominated, but luck of the draw, he lost. And some of my friends, like Whitey, for example, say, well, that's how the NFL works. You play an opponent week to week. You don't know who's going to, but that's not the same. Because in the NFL, you're actually playing against them physically.
And you're coaching. Yes.
Yes, it's an actual game. This isn't an actual game. This is just a bunch of random players scattered across the land, and their points all go. It has those two things. That's apples and oranges. So, yeah, I don't know. Look into the Yahoo thing. Maybe they do. Maybe they don't. Like I said, some people do the league average, which is the mean. Some do the median. So when you do the median, there's always going to be half your league beats it, half your league doesn't. In my league, playing the mean, we had a couple weeks ago, the few of the high teams, I was one of them, were so high, our points, it really jumped the mean up, the average up. And the league actually ended up, I think, only going 5-11 against the league average. Because so many teams, the lower teams still were high. They were like in the 80s, 90s, but just below it. And then a few of us were up in like the 120s, 130s and jacked it up enough that the league only went 5-11 against the average, which is great for me because I was one of the 5.
So what do you prefer, median or mean?
Mean.
If you could, that's your preference.
Because I don't think it should automatically be 6 teams win, 6 teams lose, 8 teams win, 8 teams lose. I think it should be the true average. And if you beat it, great. If you didn't, you didn't.
Gotcha. All right. Well, it's been 4 weeks. We're used to be a quarter of the way through the season. Now we're about a quarter of the way through the season. So I want to throw some names out to you, and you let me know if you're still feeling good about them, you're a little bit worried, or you are ready to throw in the towel and move on. And these are some bigger name guys. Number one, and I got one QB, one running back, one receiver for you. And because I know you don't look at the show notes, this is obviously brand new to you. Quarterback, JBurrow, drafted as QB 5. He currently sits as quarterback 31. He's averaging a whopping 8 points per game. He is third in pass attempts in the league, but he's 34th in yards per attempt. The big plays aren't happening. He's got a banged up receiver core. T. Higgins I don't think he's practicing this week, got some ribs. So are you still good on Burrow? Are you kind of worried? Are you ready to throw in the towel?
Good. He'll still end up top 10.
Okay, so
barring another injury.
Are you seeking him in a trade, like a buy low type situation?
It depends, I guess, on the league. If I'm in just a league where you can just trade to trade, everything's even up, then yeah, I'd go after him. If I had trash, why not? But I'm not going to go too crazy because anybody that's going to sell him now has to sell low. So I'm not giving up, one of my top 3 picks for the guy. In my league, it's impossible because he makes so much money. There's nothing to trade for. Plus, I have Anthony Richardson, Kirk Cousins, so I don't need him.
I got a good one for you. Are you starting him this week, or are you starting the QB 16, Joshua Dobbs, in the same matchup? Cardinals, Bengals. Who you starting?
I still go with Burrow because sooner or later it's going to click back in.
I think I go Dobbs, man, to be honest with you.
Yeah. I go by the theory that we've had before. You can go with Dobbs, and if he does well, that's great. If he doesn't, you play Dobbs. You play Burrow, or you don't play Burrow, and he throws up 38, you're a little annoyed with yourself because you didn't play him.
Right.
And I can deal with the fact that I played him and he shit the bed, but I can't deal with the fact that I didn't play him and he threw up 38.
I feel you. All right, Miles Sanders, my next guy, running back, currently the RB 24, which actually I can't believe he's that high, to be honest with you. The guy has 77 opportunities, but only found the end zone once, kind of the story of his career, except for last year. He's only got 3.5 yards a touch. That includes his receptions, which is kind of keeping his fantasy season afloat. Plus, his backup, Chuba Hubbard, matched his 16 touches this past week, and he outgained Sanders. So, Miles, are you still good? Kind of worried? Or are you ready to throw in the towel?
Kind of worried.
Okay.
No, I wouldn't say necessarily still good because we were both high on him. I was mad at myself for not giving him a long-term deal and having him this year for cheap. But that offense is just trash, and they can't do anything. The guys just has no chance. I don't really think it's him. I think it's the team. It's that line. They're just awful.
Okay. Well, it's not
But I
like
can't get he's still a number one running back. So you can't give up.
Starting.
You can't give up on any starting running back in the league because in any given week, they might throw you out 20 points. I can't just dump the guy. And I can't exactly sell high on him right now either. So what am I supposed to do? I'm not just going to drop him so somebody else can pick him up off waivers for beans, and then he scores 22 points this week.
Okay, so let's say Jonathan Taylor, let's say he's not playing this week. He's practicing in full, which is nice. He did today. Let's say he's not playing this week. So it's Zach Moss, who's been pretty dominant.
Yeah.
I think 1 week he had 21 points. 1 week he had like 18 and a half, something like that. So do you start Miles Sanders or Zach Moss?
Zach Moss.
He's going up against Tennessee, and that run defense is tough. But I think you're right, man.
Yeah, but I don't care. Yeah, I don't think Jonathan Taylor will play much at all, if at all. Yeah, I'd still play him. I played him last week for this very reason in the once and done because I know his days are numbered.
Well, I'm talking about Moss and Sanders. Who would you play?
That's what I'm saying.
Okay.
I want to play Moss because I think he'll still get this severe bulk of the carries if Jonathan Taylor plays at all.
Gotcha.
But I do think the Colts, once he's completely game ready, are going to get him out there playing because he needs to show, and they need to show that he can still play so that they can trade him by the deadline.
All right. One that's near and dear to my heart, Mr. Jalen Waddle, my keeper in my league of record. He is currently wide receiver 57. He missed a game. All right. He's still wide receiver 46 in points per game, barely a wide receiver 4. He was a top 10 wide receiver last season, and his running mate, Tyreek Hill, is currently wide receiver number 2, just behind Justin Jefferson. What is going on with Waddle?
Not worried at all. 100% behind him. He was hurt. He came back, didn't do much, which was to be expected. He did this last year. He's one of those guys that, ESPN, or one of the sites, is it ESPN that has their reliability index? His was horrible last year because he'll have a game with 32 points and the next week he has 6. He's a never-ending roller coaster. He'll put a few games together this year that'll win teams their game that week. He'll have weeks where he just doesn't show up.
I'll be honest, I'm a little worried, man. And maybe it's just because I own him, but I don't know. I'm a little scared. I need him. I need something from him soon for me to have a little faith.
Well, otherwise, what? You're going to bench him? You're going to trade him? You're going to dump him?
I mean,
how do you not play him? Unless you've got some team that's just out of this world, how do you sit him? Because you don't know if it's the week he's going to have 200 yards and 3 touchdowns.
Yeah, but when he's the wide receiver 46 in points per game, and you have, I don't know, I can't think off the top of my head exactly who I have in that league. Like Michael Thomas. Michael Thomas is not great, but he's at least has a decent floor. I'm not going to start Thomas over Waddle, but I hate the fact that I might have to think about it.
Okay, I think you're just. You're panicked because you have him, and it's really early in the season, and he was injured, and he had a huge week 1, if I remember. So it seems as though maybe you're just getting a little crazy.
He did not have a huge week.
Didn't he have one big week?
No, he had one big play.
He's
had 2 big plays, yes, but not a big week. All right, so let's go on. I'm also a little worried about Dallas Goedert, to be honest with you. They haven't done much for him. I don't even know where he's at in the tight end ranks.
That's your boy, Hurts. He just doesn't throw to him.
Yeah, I mean, last year he was much more reliable, but new offensive coordinator, they're not looking for him. I know Sirianni came out today or yesterday and was like, oh, yeah, he's still part of the game plan. Yeah, but he's supposed to be a top 5 tight end in the league. You shouldn't have to say he's still part of the game plan.
It's odd. That one I'm worried about, but not because of him. Because the offense has sort of forsaken him, the same the Ravens did with Andrews in weeks 2 and 3. Week 1 he didn't play. 2 and 3, it was like, why is the guy out on the field? He was just any random guy. Last week, they decided, hey, maybe we should get the ball to the best player on our team. Next thing you know, he has like 5 catches for 80 yards and 2 touchdowns. So maybe they'll get their act back together. And because my thought, we discussed the Eagles 4-0, can't take that from them. But again, something's not right. Maybe that's it. I don't know, because again, another very losable game they played, and sooner or later, maybe they'll look back on what was working last year and get back to that.
I certainly hope so.
Why would you take him out of your offense? I don't understand it. It doesn't make sense. It seems like all they want to do now is have a swift run, a very quick Hurts run, or a deep ball, and that's their whole offense now.
Yeah, except they don't do the swift run enough. That is the thing that's made me the most angry in this whole season. Is
they have a lot of third and longs. Have you noticed how many third and longs they have?
4 weeks in a row, I've texted you during Eagles games and been like, why are they not running the ball? Why are they not running the ball? Why are they not running the ball? You're getting 6.5 yards per carry. Just run the football.
I agree. And the thing is, it's making their defense look bad because that defense is on the field. Where last year, the Eagles offense would be on the field for 40 minutes a game. It's like reverse now.
Yeah. I mean, I know when Washington had the ball a few times, I'm watching the defensive linemen because I'm kind of enamored with these young defensive linemen we have. I'm watching the D-line, and they are gassed. You can and Philly does a good job at rotating in, having a rotation along the front. They're gassed, and I feel bad for them.
Yeah, they're going to have to figure something out here because sooner or later they're going to play a team that isn't the Redskins, and this is going to be a problem. They played 4 games, of which 1 they, I guess, pretty much dominated, and 3 were games they won. We can't take that from them. But games that last year, the way they played, they would have won by 3 touchdowns. Now they're winning by 3 points.
Yeah. Yeah. It's certainly not my favorite as an Eagles fan. I tell you what I do like, though, is that the Detroit Lions are 3-1. They just beat division rival foe, the Green Bay Packers, 34-20 last Thursday. Jared Goff is an away game, so hopefully you didn't play him. That's not really what he does. Hopefully you did play David Montgomery. Coming back from an injury, you're like, I don't know. Are they going to limit his touches? Absolutely not. 32 carries, 121
What the hell
yards.
Is that?
Not one.
Why did you draft JBurrow where you did?
3
touches carries, 12 total touches. I don't. Why? What?
Yeah, and Montgomery had 2 catches. I love it to death. I don't have JGibbs anywhere. It's tough for me to be too high on rookie running backs because of this. We will talk about JGibbs a little later.
This is excessive, though. This is silly. This is silly.
This is the red flag I should have thrown up. Not Miles Sanders. I should have thrown up JGibbs for you.
The thing is, I don't own either one of them, so I'm looking at this completely objectively. But I don't get it. I mean, they won, so yeah, but why right after coming back from injury would you even want to give him 32 carries?
No idea.
Why? I know in a game that you were firmly in control of the entire time, why would you even want to do that to him? If I was him, I'd be pissed off. Like, seriously, coach, I just come back from injury and you're giving me 32 carries? It's freaking nuts, dude. But the thing is, I saw some stat that they didn't like all fantasy leagues worldwide that like he was only starting like 30% of leagues.
The 2 leagues I have him in, buddy, he was in that starting lineup.
Well, that may be, but
because he only needs in that offense for what the Lions want to do, he only needs 5 carries and he can get 3 touchdowns.
Yeah, he's Mike Allstott. Yeah. He's the TV guy.
Well, but yeah. And it's funny you say that.
Maybe there's some we don't know about JGibbs that why he was coming. He averaged 5 yards a carry. The guy's electric. Montgomery averaged under 4 yards a carry.
Well, the Packers did the exact opposite. They brought Aaron Jones back from injury. He only had 5 carries. They brought Christian Watson as his first game back. He only had 2 catches. Like, they did what I think you're supposed to do.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I don't know, man. I'm not comfortable starting a single Green Bay Packer outside of Aaron Jones.
Dobbs seems to be having a nice week every week.
Well, you're probably right. If I have to pick one, not named Jones,
15 and 14 points. I can handle that as my flex guy.
I just don't trust Jordan Love either. And if he doesn't hyper focus on Dobbs, which now that Christian Watson's going to be back playing more, I'm not sure that's going to happen.
Jordan Love's like a top 5 or 6 quarterback right now, isn't he?
No,
24,
not
23, 24, and 17 points.
I don't know that he is anymore, but he's also getting fluky plays. Like if you remember at the beginning of the year, I think the first 3 games he had 0 interceptions, and now all of a sudden he's got a few. He also had, without his rushing touchdown, he had 2 carries for -2 yards, but a touchdown. Without that rushing touchdown, he only threw for 246, 1, and had 2 picks. So I don't know. I'm not sold on Jordan Love. I'm not sold on the Packers
Yeah,
offense.
I don't want him starting. I mean, I'm at my
Yeah.
league of records a 16-team league, and he shouldn't be starting there, even if he is in the top, whatever. But yeah, I don't know. I guess it's partially who they're playing. But you're right. This isn't an Aaron Rodgers offense.
Oh, correct. All right. Next one, our first London game. The Falcons got beat by the Jaguars 23-7. Desmond Ridder is not good at football. They should bench him for Taylor Heineke, who's also not that good, but he can't be worse. Bijan Robinson is very good at football. He had 105 yards on the ground and averaging 7.5 yards a carry, plus
I'm
5
about
for
ready to
30.
go down to Atlanta and start slitting some throats.
Don't drop Pitts. You can absolutely drop Kyle Pitts for Jake Ferguson. You might be able to drop him for me, honestly, because at
Drop him
least
for Jonnu Smith.
yeah, if I go out and give you a goose egg in your tight end slot, you're less upset than Kyle Pitts going 2 for 21. Like I think you'd rather me get 0 for you. But yeah,
It's
Johnny
not
Smith
him
6
though.
for
It's Ridder is
95.
trash because London's
Yeah,
trash now too. He had a touchdown with 3 for 28. Really,
right.
the
I
dude
know.
sucks. Ridder is. You could make the worst starting quarterback in the league.
You definitely could make that argument. Trevor Lawrence on the other side wasn't that much better. I mean, he only had 7 incompletions, but he only threw for 200 yards and a touchdown.
Didn't need to be. They were firmly in control of the game the whole time.
Right, but this has been the story all season for Lawrence. Lawrence is, I mean, he is way below expectations. And
Yes.
Christian Kirk, I think you have more faith in him now. He's put 2 or 3 weeks in a row together here where he's been the guy that Lawrence has been looking for. Calvin Ridley, without his touchdown, disappointed again. Only 2 catches for 38 yards. He
Only
really
2 targets. He just doesn't even
you
bother
pulled the wool
throwing
over
to
eyes
him.
after that dominant week 1. We were like, oh my gosh, Ridley is incredible, but he hadn't done it. Maybe teams are scheming to take him out, and I don't know, but
Maybe
it's
Trev's
not
afraid
happening.
to throw into that. Yeah, who knows? But
But I
something's
tell you what,
and I'll tell you what, I don't care for it.
no, not at all. And Evan Ingram, buddy, I mean, tight ends, they're hard to come by. He's doing
Does
it
it feel good to say his name?
a little bit.
After all this time, we can say his name. I said it the other night. I was like looking at some stats and things, and I said his name in my head, and I was like, "What? That was weird." I actually called him Evan Ingram in my head. I usually, even in my head, I'm always calling him he who shall not be named.
Well, he who has issues is you, my friend.
Well, we can't really argue that, can we?
One of the most exciting games of the week was the Rams at the Colts. The went into overtime, and Matt Stafford led his team down the field and threw a touchdown pass to Puka Nakua, who had 9 for 163. This guy is on pace to have more to break the NFL record in receiving yards, if I'm not mistaken. If not, he's very close. Obviously, he's destroying every rookie record that's out there. But outside of him, you don't want any other guys in the receiving game. Higbee was decent, but with Cooper Kupp coming back, all of Higbee's targets are going to dry up.
I'll take 8.9 out of a tight end.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is going forward, this game, yes, but going forward, Cooper Kupp may come back this week, and then with you got Cooper and Puka, it's going to be tough for there to be meat on the bone left. Kyron Williams is dominant. What a great waiver wire pickup he was. And Stafford, man, what a weird season. I've been starting him in the SiriusXM Host Dynasty League over CJ Stroud. And his yards say that's right. He's on pace for over 5,000 yards passing, but he only has like 3 touchdowns on the year.
Yeah, that Williams run it in.
What's that?
They let Williams run in the touchdowns.
Yeah, right. And then Anthony Richardson, man, he reminds me so much of I guess I'll say Lamar Jackson just because the athleticism, but more so in the passing, because Lamar will toss a ball, just a flick of the wrist, 35 yards downfield in a tight window, and you're like, wow, what a throw. And then the very next play, the tight end will run a little out route, and he'll throw it 3 yards in front of his feet on the ground. And
No,
it
he'll
bounces
throw
to
it into the stands, or it's like the backup center catches it 7 yards out of bounds.
Right. And it's like Richardson does the same things. You watch it and it's like, whoa, my gosh, what a throw. That's wild. I was wrong on him. He really is an NFL quarterback. And then the very next play will do something ridiculous. It's like, oh my gosh, what did he throw that left-handed? Which has 2 passes left-handed this season. He switched the ball and thrown it lefty. I mean, he completed 11 for 25. Somehow he had 200 yards passing on 11 attempts. Wow. But he runs the ball. So he did good there. And Zach Moss, this is his worst game, but he has been dominating.
Of course
We talked about him
I
earlier.
played him.
The receivers, man, there's Michael Pittman's been the best, obviously. And I think you have to start him going forward. But boy, when Andrew Ogletree gets a touchdown, Mo Alley Cox has 1 catch for a touchdown. It's scary starting any of those guys.
So back to the Rams real quick. I beg to differ with you. I don't think Tyler Higbee will get 11 targets a single other game all season.
I agree.
What I don't think is that this will greatly dig into his production when our little boy Cooper Kupp comes back. I think it's going to dig into Nakua's production much more than it will Higbee's, because they both run pretty much the same routes. And it's just going to be a matter week to week. Which one is Stafford going to target the most? But It's going to hurt everybody. Anybody that's playing now, obviously, when the guy, arguably the best receiver in football, comes back, it's going to dig into your numbers. Sure. As far as the Colts, 4 games. When are you going to tell me?
What?
When are you going to say you were right?
About what?
Sir Anthony Richardson. How long will it be? Will it be a year? Will it be 2 seasons? Will it be when he's in the Hall of Fame? What's it going to be when you finally say, you know what? You were right. I was wrong.
When he's not 11 for 25?
Well, it doesn't matter. Who cares? 30 points, and he's winning games. Well, he didn't win this one, but
are you talking points. Fantasy or real life?
Fantasy. I don't give a shit if he does anything. In real life, I don't care if he loses every game for the next 5 seasons, as long as he's getting me 30 points a week. What do I care about the Colts?
When he was drafted, you said he was going to be a good quarterback. When he went 4th overall, you said it was worth it. You said he's
but I don't care about the Colts. I only care about his fantasy.
If we are talking strictly fantasy, yes, I think he's going to be good. I do not think he's going to be as good as he has been. But we're talking real football. I'm not sure he's ever going to be. I don't even know if he's ever going to be Cam Newton. I don't know if he's going to lead a team to a Super Bowl, even if they lose.
Well, who cares?
Okay. So when someone gets drafted 4th overall and another person says this is a great pick, he's going to be a great quarterback, blah, blah, blah. I'm thinking you're talking about real football.
Well, he is going to be good at real football. This was 1 game where he was 11 for 25 with the Rams defense about murdering him. But I drafted him in my league so high and spent money on him and all because I told you he was the future at the position, and I was scoffed at. There was scoffing. Once again, scoffing. I see your face. I see you rolling your eyes, looking off into the sunset. So my question again, is it now? Is it in 16 weeks? Is it in 2 years? Is it in 5 years? We say, man, well done, sir.
I never thought he would be a poor fantasy quarterback, but even outside for the season, he's still only completing 57% of his passes.
Who cares? I don't get any points for percentage.
Okay.
You still haven't answered the question. How long will it be till you say that was a great pick? Well done in your draft, sir.
No. When you personally took Anthony Richardson, I thought that was great, especially having Kirk Cousins on your team.
Yeah.
The issue
for a long time too.
Right. Him being a good fantasy quarterback is not in question. He's got that rushing floor every week. That's never in question as far as I'm concerned. Being a good, real NFL quarterback is always what I was talking about. Good. I'm surprised you haven't hit me with some stupid drop.
I was going to, but then the soundboard kept on repeating or like refreshing, and it looked like it was making you go Matrix for a second. And
let's quickly move
So
on to your.
this is what I would say to you with all the crap you talk about Anthony Richardson.
Okay. Falling on deaf ears. I get it. Your Ravens. They lucked out with Deshaun Watson being a late scratch. They get rookie quarterback for the Browns, and the game was over before it started. They won 28-3. Lamar Jackson was great for fantasy, 4 touchdowns, 2 passing, 2 running. Gus Edwards was having decently productive, I guess. The numbers don't look great, but he was gaining some yards for you.
He was getting 3 yards a carry.
Yeah, but he was getting, he had 15 carries.
And he went out 48 yards.
Right, but normally he's not getting that much work. So it was nice to
ask you a question. Do you just pick and choose who you think it's good to get 3 yards a carry, and then other guys it's terrible, but him it's wonderful?
So 3 yards a carry, Kevin, is not good. What is good is someone who normally doesn't get that much work on a team. That is good. You want to see opportunities like that. Now, 15 carries at the end of the game is different, but he went out, if my memory serves me correct, in the second or third quarter. So he had plenty of time to get even more carries, which was nice to see, especially when you have a crowded backfield. What's Justice Hill going to do? How many carries is he going to get? Can't believe Melvin Gordon's still there. How many carries is he going to get? It was nice to see Gus getting all of the work, not the production, the work. Opportunities, we need to have those for fantasy. Speaking of which, I'm glad Mark Andrews was finally able to find the end zone.
Yes,
both
twice
of Lamar Jackson's. I mean, Lamar Jackson high pointed a ball for him that he shouldn't have been able to catch, I don't think. And he came down with it, and it was awesome. He's a man. So hopefully this was like a push, like, hey, let's do this. And then the Browns, I hope you didn't play any of them because they weren't worth it.
Yeah, what a mess that was.
Absolutely.
DTR actually had a pretty good preseason. I know it's against a bunch of nobodies, but he didn't look horrible. I considered sitting Amari Cooper because of it. Then I thought, you know what? He's the best guy on the team. So they're probably just going to throw to him endlessly. Why wouldn't he pepper him with targets? But then he just didn't. He had 1 catch on 6 targets, but 4 of them were nobody. Groot, he couldn't have caught him.
Right. No kidding. Poor. And it's just interesting watching, a couple years ago, Justin Herbert gets thrown in the game. Literally minutes before kickoff, his rookie year, first game, and he ends up throwing for like 300 yards and looking great. And then the exact same thing happens here. And it's like, now I know Herbert was a first round pick and DTR.
And I was going to say, I've not heard too many comparisons, Herbert to DTR.
Right. Well, it's just, interesting to see different rookies attack this thing and have completely different outcomes, especially when you have you can argue the Browns team from top to bottom is better than that Chargers team that Herbert stepped into. That defense for the Browns is great, but when your quarterback's throwing 3 interceptions and giving up the ball and stuff like that, you're on the field, it's tough.
It makes it tough. And I considered throwing the Ravens in at defense and the once and none, but I was like, you know what, I'm gonna stick with the Bengals.
Yeah. Actually, I think I went Cincinnati as well, didn't I?
A quick sidebar to the Browns, which is actually a very huge sidebar. You and I had discussed a couple of weeks ago when I had tore my right ACL. My orthopedic surgeon wasn't, even though the MRI said it is torn. He showed me the black spot where it used to be. He's like, I'm not convinced by just the table test. So they went in there to do our boy Chubb's knee, thinking only they're going to repair a medial meniscus, which is just a little donut. Ended up having repaired the MCL and found out his ACL is also destroyed after all. So he's got to have another surgery in another month or 2, which is going to throw his rehab back. So now we're really starting to look at a guy who I don't know that he's ever going to be the same. I assume did you see all this? Because it just sort of went by the wayside. It wasn't really a mainstream thing that people were talking about it. But that's where we are now.
Yeah, I saw that he got his surgery and didn't look any more into it. Just like, okay, surgery, got it. We must.
Okay, yeah. So it's medial meniscus only. Then it turned out they had to repair the MCL. Now it turns out the ACL is wrecked. There's too much swelling. They couldn't go ahead and do it. Like when they went in mine, he's like, look, we're going to go in here and fix what we got to fix. If I got to fix the ACL, I'm just going to go ahead and do it. So we don't have to do this twice. The damage was so bad, they couldn't with him. So he's got to have another surgery to fix the ACL in about 2 months, and which is, for any of you out there who've ever had an ACL reconstruction, it's not overly pleasant. The rehab is difficult, and this guy, I don't know now that he will ever be what he was. And it's a shame
He's
because the
strong,
dude,
though.
man, I mean,
Yeah,
you're talking about a guy for an awful team, but could still eke out a Hall of Fame career.
he's a physical freak, and the medicine and the
I'm
rehab.
with you, brother. But then the second
He's
time
got
through,
access to it. I know.
hey, I'm rooting for him. I love Nick Chubb. Watching him play at his best. Is there a more exciting running back in the league beside maybe CMC?
Yeah,
But
that's it.
But I just don't know, man. They go in there and you see all this so much more extensive damage than they thought. Is this guy ever going to be the same? I don't know.
Well, I can tell you Kirk Cousins was not the same this week as he has been. The QB1, I think, or QB2 in fantasy got you 139 yards and 2 touchdowns with 2 picks. He didn't look real great. Alexander Madison looked great coming back. I think he's like, all right, Cam Akers is here. I got to turn up the heat or something. But almost 100 yards on the ground for him. So you like seeing that. Outside of Justin Jefferson, you were hugely disappointed here. And then the Panthers, man, I don't know what to tell you. They're still peppering Adam Thielen, 7 catches for 76 yards. Terrace Marshall threw up a 9-catch game, only 56, but I'm not going to put too much stock into that. And that's it, man.
No, because Mingo comes back this week, so he'll be lucky to be on the field for 10 plays.
Yeah, and man, we like Mingo.
There's not much to say about that game. Cousins, know, right. Pick 6, trash. The funny thing is he has his by far worst game of the year, and they win.
Right.
They lose the 3 games where he's up in like the high 20s, but they win the game where he has 7.6.
I know.
Granted, it's against the worst team in the league, so whatever.
Insane. I brought up JBurrow earlier. They got smashed, his Bengals 27-3 by the Titans. And we just talked last week, are the Titans the worst team in the NFL?
And they because of 27.
How terrible they've looked. Somehow they've got 2 wins. Mixon had the most Mixon day ever. I mean, he carries in the teens. He gets 50 to 69 yards, and maybe he scores a touchdown. Maybe he doesn't. He was catching a lot more balls this past week, only 1 catch. Jamar Chase was 7 for 73, and that's it, dude. I mean, obviously no touchdowns, so you can't do anything there. Derrick Henry finally got on the map, 22 for 122 and a touchdown, and that's it for the Titans too, unless you want to
and talk a touchdown pass. Don't forget Derrick Henry had a touchdown pass.
You're right. My apologies.
Yes, and it's looking like our boy Burks' NFL career is just continues to plummet week by week. He's probably not going to play again this week.
What's happening to him?
He's hurt. And he just doesn't seem to get better. And when he does, he goes out and gets hurt again in the second quarter. It's just not working out. And a side note for the Bengals, Higgins has a broken rib, but they're calling him day-to-day. I think we all know day-to-day means he won't be playing this week. To play with a broken rib, I can't imagine it. So, yeah.
I'm pretty sure that, was it last year or the year before, T. Higgins was day-to-day for like 10 weeks.
Yeah.
Do you remember that? Wasn't it him?
And when he finally came back, he was just a decoy. He had like 1 target, and that was a red zone target, and he didn't catch it.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I would be very surprised if T. Higgins plays this week. Ribs are tough. I mean, it hurts to sneeze.
You can't breathe.
Breathe, yeah. So we'll see. I know they got, they can shoot him up and they can give him some rib protectors, but I don't. Maybe he's tougher than us. Who knows?
But maybe it's going to be that thing again where they say he's playing, he goes out there and gets 2 targets, and you put him in your lineup for 0 points.
I'm glad I don't have Higgins on my team.
Me either.
On any of my teams, because those decisions are so tough. And I do have Jonathan Taylor on a team, and if they tell me he's playing on Sunday, now I got a dilemma. Who do I play? Do I put him in there?
He's a tough one to sit because he might break off a 78-yard touchdown on any given play.
That's right. I was also surprised with the Saints losing as bad as they did to the Buccaneers. I actually thought the Saints were going to win this one. Baker Mayfield played really well, honestly. 246. I don't know. I don't know, man. Is he tricking us all? And he didn't even have Mike Evans for a good portion of this game because Evans went out with a hamstring. They're telling us it's minor, but he got an MRI. That's a bit confusing. Chris Godwin went 8 for 114. Is that Godwin's first good game? I think that's Godwin's first,
Yeah, it's
like,
his
really.
first game even in double-digit fantasy points.
Yeah, that's what I thought. And then Rashad White, man, he's boring. I don't know. I can't do anything with him. Derek Carr, okay. Derek Carr was at 23 completions, but only
Shouldn't
127
have been
yards.
playing. Couldn't throw the
No
ball more than 7 yards
kidding.
downfield. It's a joke.
Okay. I don't know
Selfish. Two Nut wants to kill him, and he's not even playing for the Raiders anymore.
I don't know if you heard this. Alvin Kamara had 13 catches for 33 yards.
Yeah.
The NFL record before that for someone with 13 catches was over 70 yards.
Yeah.
He halved the NFL record for fewest yards received on 13
endless
catches.
dump offs because he couldn't throw the ball. There's no reason whatsoever that Winston shouldn't have been playing. It was stupid.
Yeah, it's maddening. And poor Chris Olave, 1 catch for 4 yards. Gosh.
Yeah, thanks for rubbing that in.
Yeah, well, I mean, look, I got him on a team too.
What's he supposed to do? I mean, you and I could throw harder than what Derek Carr can right now. The shoulder all bust up. It makes no sense. Why would you put your team in a position that they can't win?
It's
people were getting on Deshaun Watson for doing it, but they said in pregame warm-ups now, like he couldn't make the throws. Well, Derek Carr couldn't do it in the warm-ups or the game, yet they left him in the whole time. It makes no sense. The Browns still got hammered, but at least they had a chance with DTR. He could at least throw the ball.
Baker Mayfield's QB 13 on the year.
Dude, he looks great.
I know. I can't start him anymore.
He just needs his ego massaged, and he plays well. And he needs to know that there's nobody behind him, that he's not, that he's not on the permanent hot seat. I think he looks great.
Well, hold on. Let me pull Kevin. So in the preseason, someone that's very handsome, super, super handsome, said that Baker Mayfield was going to have a good fantasy year for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. When do I get credit for that, Kevin?
I don't remember you ever saying that. When did you say that?
We had a whole section of a show on it.
Well, I'm gonna I'll have to revisit that because I don't remember you ever saying that.
That's fine. The Dolphins got brought back.
Plus, you're not as handsome as me.
Oh, here we go.
Look at that beard. That's weak.
Let me try this for the third time. The Dolphins got brought back to earth by the Bills. They got spanked 48-20. Tua, not so great. Devon A. Chan, or whatever he wants to be called. 8 carries for 101 yards, 2 rushing touchdowns. This guy, all he does is average 12 yards a carry.
I know, but 65 of was on one play.
Right. So that means he still had 40 yards.
I know. It's still impressive, but other than that, he averaged maybe 4 yards a carry.
Yeah. No one else was good, man. Not my Jalen Waddle, not Tyreek Hill. The real fantasy stats were on the other side of the ball. Josh Allen, 5 total touchdowns, one of them being a rushing score. James Cook found the end zone. I think this was James Cook's first touchdown of the season. And then Stephon Diggs.
I played him in the once and done.
Nice.
Didn't do anything on yardage, but at least he scored.
Yeah, right. And then Gabe Davis got you a touchdown as well. So lots of fantasy points on the Bills side, but your Dolphins that fantasy teams have been dominating with, they really, really let you down this week.
They were straight embarrassed is what they were.
Yeah.
I think they rolled into that game thinking that they were just going to walk away with an easy victory, and they got their asses handed to them.
It was not.
Your boy Dawson Knox is slowly, completely disappearing from the NFL, and our boy Kincaid is looking sharp.
Well, yeah, but he's not. As long as Knox is in the picture, it's going to be tough for Kincaid.
I know, but have you seen Knox's his percentage of plays and routes run every week is going down 20%, and this week he might not even play.
Yeah, and if he doesn't play, that's all systems go for Kincaid.
Yeah, because I had Kincaid as one of my plays later
on. All systems go. Also, anytime you have someone playing the Denver Broncos or the Chicago Bears, you play them. Of course, if you're me, that is Javonte Williams and he gets hurt. My start of the week last week was Russell Wilson. He did not disappoint, 223 yards and 3 touchdowns. He also gave you, an extra point on the ground, which is nice. It's so weird because the receivers it's almost like a now hold on. Don't hear what I'm not saying here. It's a Kansas City Chiefs situation where you don't know who the receiver is going to be each week. Is it going to be Cortland Sutton, who only had 3 catches for 27 yards, but a score? Jerry Jeudy, he got 52 yards receiving, leading the team. Marvin Mims has been scoring a bunch in the last few weeks. You just don't know who it's going to be. I have Jerry Jeudy in 2 of my leagues, and I never know when to start him. He's been on my bench for a while. Also, pay attention to Javonte Williams. I'm staying away from that backfield if he's not playing, because Jaleel McLaughlin, I'm not comfortable with. Rookie running back who filled in for him. Samaje Perine, I'm not confident either one of those. And then your start of the week was Justin Fields.
See, that's where you're wrong. Justin Fields was your start of the week. And Russ, I just looked back to my records. Russ was my start of the week. We played each other's start. I chose yours, you chose mine, and the once and done.
Yeah, that's so great. And Justin Fields, he dominated, which I thought he was going to play well, but I did not expect him to be through the air. He only had 25 yards on the ground.
Yeah.
28 for 35.
And most of it was on that last drive. He had like a 20-yard run. Most of it was all on that last drive.
Yeah. Herbert looked good. DJ Moore looked good. And if you randomly started Cole Kmet, I think he was tight end 1 on the week. 7 catches, 85 yards, 2 touchdowns. Yeah. And Herbert had a receiving touchdown. So, I mean, I tell you what, though, I was listening to my guy that you say yells a lot on SiriusXM, Jeff Manzi. He made a good point. He said, if you look back at these teams, they deploy their running backs differently when they have a Thursday night game. And so, like week 1, the Eagles did not play Swift. They had a Thursday night game, and they rolled him out there, and he dominated. He's been dominating since then. So I'm wondering, this Khalil Herbert deal, I think the Bears play tomorrow night against Washington. Herbert went out and they gave him a lot of work. I'd be interested to see how much work Roshan Johnson has tomorrow night. If maybe they were saving Roshan for their Thursday night game.
Hard to say.
Something to think about. Something to think about.
I'm not playing either one of them, so.
Yeah, me neither. But it's just Khalil Herbert hit the waiver wire in 2 of my 4 leagues this past week. Khalil Herbert.
Did you grab him?
No, I did. I got outbid each time. But I certainly tried. All right, moving on. My Eagles barely beat the Washington Commanders because they refused to run the ball as much as they should. Sam Howell's, not great, but he did give you 40 yards on the ground. Brian Robinson did not look good, but did find the end zone for you. Terry McLaurin, 8 for 86. I feel like he always plays well against the Eagles. There's always a big play or two for him that helps pad his stats.
Imagine what he could do on a competent team. He could be a top 7 guy in the league.
Well, he's been what I think he was wide receiver 12, or he's at least been like an upper wide receiver 2 a few years with. I mean, what do you got? Heineke at quarterback.
Trash thrown to him, right?
Right. Jalen Hurts gave you a nice game with 300 yards and 2 through the air, but I mean, it was luck. A lot of this stuff, we're just chucking the ball for no reason. Swift looked good again, got you a touchdown. AJ Brown blew up 9 for 175.
Man amongst boys.
He really is, man. And Devonta Smith secretly, or I guess quietly, got you a good game, 7 for 78. But again, we mentioned Goddard. We got to get something going here, fellas. We
talked earlier about the Eagles D, and it's not looking pretty. But it's not necessarily the D as much as it is the offense causing it.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I agree, 100%. And you feel bad for the guys. I think one of the most surprising, maybe, in my opinion, the most surprising team in the NFL is the 2-2 Houston Texans. Preseason, their win total was set at 5.5. They're almost halfway there, man. 2-2, and they crushed the Pittsburgh Steelers 30-6. This game was ugly. Pittsburgh, the only person that actually looked good is the guy who's looked the worst, and that's Najee Harris. Actually had some pep in his step. He was running people over, which I liked. He led the team in receiving with his 1 catch for 32 yards. Led the team in receiving. That is embarrassing. CJ Stroud, I think he's what, top 4, top 5 in the NFL in passing yardage? He's a rookie. He's got 0 interceptions. I know he's got over 1,200 yards passing. He's got 0 interceptions. I mean, that is
I
phenomenal
think
for a
he's already broke the record for rookies starting their career most attempts without an interception. He's already like 30 ahead. He's had 151 attempts already without an interception.
It's, I mean, especially on the Houston Texans, where
Yeah.
quarterbacks go to die, not named Deshaun Watson.
Yep.
And he's got a big target, Nico Collins, 7 for 168 and 2. He was my start of the week in the once and done. He helped carry my team to, a decent finish, I guess. And then Dalton Schultz, he came back from the dead. Only 3 catches, but he did find the end zone. So we love
we'll
that.
take that all day at tight end. As far as the
No.
Steelers, there's nothing that pleases. Well, there's other things, but generally speaking, there's nothing pleases me more than watching the Steelers lose. But with Matt Canada and Kenny Pickett, please, Omar Epps, please keep them forever. You will permanently suck. I love it. The best thing you can do is fire Canada yesterday and make Trubisky your starter, because it can't be worse. Pickett, again, another one that we could make the argument is the worst starter in the league.
And when you made a point earlier about somebody, I can't remember who it was off the top of my head, that had a really good preseason. I don't think anyone had a better preseason.
It was DTR. Yeah.
Yeah. Yes. Kenny Pickett was doing it against sometimes starters. Look great. Boy, when the real whistle rings, buddy, he is not.
He's just awful. Good. He really is.
And I know he's out with Deontay Johnson's, like, is kind of his go-to guy, his baby bottle, and he hasn't had him, but man, yeah, but it doesn't help that the running game hasn't been good.
Yeah, he's just not a good quarterback. It's just the way it is. So with that and that vanilla offense with Matt Canada, have fun. I don't understand why Omar Epps is doubling down, tripling down on these guys. I guess he expects maybe put TJ Watt in at quarterback. He couldn't be any worse.
Well, what if it was Aiden O'Connell? Because he certainly looked pretty terrible.
That guy can't seem to hold on to the ball, can he?
Oh, how many times did he fumble? 3?
He fumbled. I think he lost 3. He might have fumbled more. You look at that guy wrong and he drops the ball.
And he threw a pick, man. Josh Jacobs, he has not returned to form. 3.4 yards a carry, but he scored, and he had 8 catches for 81 yards, which, an ugly week for his team turned out okay for him. And Davante Adams went out for an injury. I thought, man, that's it. I'm definitely out in at least 2 of my leagues. I get Davante at 2 places, but came back 8 for 75. Not a typical Davante day, but you'll definitely take it, especially when you have Aiden.
Well, like 5 of his catches were on that last drive.
Thank goodness.
Wide open on every play. It was like Traylon Burks in college.
We said that exact same thing last week. Exactly. About Davante Adams. I don't know how it happens. Herbert was not great through the air. Only 1 touchdown, only 167 yards passing, but he did rush 2 touchdowns in, so that was great. Josh Kelly looked not good again. Josh Palmer seems to be the answer over Quentin Johnson in the, 3 catches for 77 yards, although 50 of them came on the game-sealing play. And then Keenan Allen, only 3 for 32, but luckily he got you a touchdown. Keenan Allen, he's got to be, where's he? Is he wide receiver 3 on the year? He is wide receiver 3 and
11, 27, 40, and 10.
Yeah, he's having one heck of a season. What's he, 31? Good for him.
He is 31. Yep.
Yeah. So, that's great. The San Francisco 49ers predictably pounded the Arizona Cardinals 35-16. But I'm telling you what, there's one point it was, what was it? San Francisco 21, Arizona 16. I think they were within 5 at one point. And I'm watching this TV thinking, holy cow. Is Arizona going to stick around here the whole time? Obviously, the answer was no. But Josh Dobbs, he's definitely streamable. I'm starting him in 1, maybe 2 leagues. I got Russell Wilson. I got Geno Smith in a buy in 1, and I got Russell Wilson going to go against, I believe, the Jets in another. I might start Dobbs in both of those. James Conner.
He's made himself a nice argument to get traded to start for somebody next year. Because once Kyler Murray comes back, he will not be playing.
You should go back to Pittsburgh. He was in Pittsburgh for a while. He needs to go back there. He's
He
definitely
was
better
there,
tape.
then he was Cleveland, and now Arizona.
James Conner, it looks good, man. Averaging almost 5 yards a carry against that defensive front for the Niners. Marquise Brown has been better than I think we thought he'd be, 7 for 96 in this one. And then Michael Wilson, rookie out of Stanford, I believe, 7 for 76 and his first 2 NFL touchdowns. I'm not going to buy too much into that.
Nope.
Dobbs is good. The passing game's better than, well, we thought it'd be putrid. So it's better than that. But Dobbs's rushing game, his rushing floor is what's helped him out a lot. 48 yards in this one. I think he's had 50 yards in another game or two on the ground. So that's helping you out. And then for the Niners, buddy, it was 2 people. It was Brandon Ayuk, 6 for 148, and it was CMC, 100 yards rushing, 3 rushing touchdowns, 71 yards receiving on 7 catches with another touchdown. Holy McCaffrey.
And a couple people played him in the once and done. And a friend of mine that's in the league talked to me the other night. He's like, if I'd have known he was going to score that, I would have played him too. And I'm thinking, like, I get that. This will be his likely highest game of the year, but I'm playing him in the playoffs. Why do I care about week 4?
I don't want his 35 or whatever it was in week 4. I want his 28 in week.
I don't. Well, he had 45 this week, but yes, regardless, right? I don't care. It's 55. You're right. Yeah. I want the 28 in week 15.
Yeah,
for the playoffs, but more that's a side point. But dude, the guy could have had 70 points in this game. The Niners just sort of backed off. There was, even when the game was within 1 score, there was never even a remote point that I felt that the Cardinals were going to win.
Agreed. Speaking of never going to win, the Dallas Cowboys beat the Patriots 38-3.
Wow.
And I don't know how you can score 38 points and have not a single offensive player fantasy relevant. Let me take that back. Jake Ferguson, because he plays tight end, 7 for 77, you'll take it. But even CeeDee Lamb, who got the touchdown, was only 4 for 36. He barely got you double digits, and he scored a touchdown. This Dallas defense is crazy. They scored.
And they lost Trayvon Diggs.
Did they score 2 defensive touchdowns this week, or was it just?
I know they scored 2. Van Der Esch scored, and Deron Bland scored.
I mean, they have 80 fantasy points on the year. The Dallas defense. The Bills are second with 56.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. The Dallas defense would be the RB3 right now. They would be the wide receiver 4 right now above Stephon Diggs. My gosh.
I know this won't be the popular opinion, but I think they might be better without Trayvon Diggs. Because they don't have to worry about giving up the endless big play anymore.
I posted that on our site right when it happened.
Oh, did you?
Yeah. Well, hold on. I can't remember. It might have been before the season when it was something like, here's your, defensive back stat of the week or something. And I said, when targeted last season, quarterbacks who had like 107 quarterback rating when targeting Trayvon Diggs. Trayvon Diggs was like 89th in catches given up and 93rd in receiving yards given up. Yes, he makes a lot of big plays, but he gives up way too much.
Yep.
And I knew that there was not going to be that big of a loss for them.
Yeah, it's looked great. And as far as the Patriots go, more and more, it's looking like Belichick will be seeking employment at the end of the year.
Ooh, it's going to be something.
Boy, did they miss on Mac Jones. His rookie year, we were like, wow, looks like the Patriots hit the jackpot here. But boy, were we wrong.
Yeah, well, they need to beef up that offensive line. Well, they're not going to be playing the Cowboys. So we'll see how they do this coming. I don't even know who they play off the top of my head. I have to check it out, but I'm sure they're not going to have the pass rush that Michael Parsons and the Cowboys.
They play Saints at home.
Yeah, well, and you know what? That Saints D is not too bad, but they just got walloped by Baker Mayfield, so this will be interesting. The Jets almost pull off a home win against the Chiefs. They only lost by 3 points, 20
They
to
got
23.
robbed.
Well,
robbed.
Go ahead.
Robbed. My boy Sauce got robbed.
Tell us how,
I
Kevin.
make the case that he was held. That was about as calm as any kind of contact from a corner to receivers you could have in the NFL. And if you want to call it, great, but then you have to call that basically 56 times every game.
Right.
Why did they decide to call it there? What on earth were they looking at? Again, a
It's
bunch
the
of old, stupid men having to referee a bunch of young people moving really fast. What a
listen.
hose job, dude.
I know it hurts my heart, but they did it to Bradbury in the Super Bowl against the same Chiefs.
Hose job.
Mahomes wasn't good, so the refs had to help them win. If Mahomes isn't going to do it, the refs
No,
have
it's
to.
the endless memes of him like trading jerseys with the head referee after the game. Well, the referees, the black stripes were all
Yeah.
red.
Yeah, well, they started that after the Super Bowl. That's when they
Yes, it
started
was
it.
ridiculous. That was a total crock. Was that the Swifties? Maybe the Swifties are involved with that call. I don't know. Maybe that referee, his daughter, asked for a favor because she's a Swiftie. I don't know, but that was egregious. Egregious. And I love
Well,
Mahomes. You know that. But that was
you do.
straight egregious.
Half-point PPR, really the only guy worth starting here is Pacheco. I know there's no chance you're benching Kelsey, but he didn't even get to double-digit points. Although, you get 9 points in a half-point PPR for the tight end. That's pretty good.
And he had 9
It just
targets. It's
wasn't a
not like
Kelsey
he's
day.
not getting used.
Oh, yeah, it just wasn't a Kelsey day.
It just
Those are
wasn't a
fine
huge
numbers.
day, right?
Yeah, those are fine. I pray for those numbers with Dallas Goedert. But for Kelsey, it's he has
It
a
was
different
low
standard.
for him, but still, it's not like underutilization. He had
No, no.
more targets than any other two guys on the team combined. So
Yeah.
it just didn't pan out to a lot of points.
Pacheco did great for you,
He
115
did.
and
He
a
looked
touchdown.
angry again.
Oh yeah, I do love the way he runs. And don't look now, but Zach Wilson didn't look terrible.
No, he did not.
It's the only time maybe in his whole life or in his NFL life that he hasn't. But 245 and 2, I'll take it. Especially watching him last week was
That
just
touchdown to
so
Lazard was a
ugly.
thing of beauty, dude. There's only
If
probably 10, 12 quarterbacks in the league that could make that throw, and he made it.
Can we build on that? I'm still scared about starting Garrett Wilson. The jet I'm actually kind of comfortable is Breece Hall because Salah came out this week and said, "Hey, we're wheels up for Hall. We're not holding
Yeah.
back anymore." And obviously, Dalvin Cook is horrible. Man, he's looked bad this year. So
Yeah,
hopefully, Breece Hall
I think
can.
Minnesota made a good decision here. A lot of people thought they were crazy, but
Mhm.
maybe not.
Yeah, maybe not. And then well, honestly, the Seahawks beating the Giants 24-3. It was almost, you'd think it'd be boring, but it was kind of exciting. Just what is this Seattle defense going to do to this offense next? It was, every 4 dropbacks, it felt like there was a sack. They sacked 10 total sacks,
10.
I think. 10 total sacks.
Only because Jones is so mobile was it only 10.
I know
The
Jones
dude
gave
was
up
running for his life. It was
Oh yeah,
men amongst boys. It was stupid. It was just gross negligence on the Giants GM to not have an offensive line that can do anything. Just free runners constantly.
oh yeah, it was bad. Plus Danny Dimes had 2 picks? I think one was a pick 6 and then a fumble, if I'm not
The
mistaken.
pick 6 was like a 97-yarder.
Yeah, dude, Devin Witherspoon was everywhere. He had
He was
2 sacks as a corner coming from the slot. He had a pick 6. And you know what's crazy? Christian Gonzalez, who was my cornerback 1, was quietly the defensive player of the month last month, but now he's out for the season.
Yeah, he's
Shoulder
quietly
injury.
done for the year.
Yeah, everything's quiet about him, but he was out there balling, man. But now Devin Witherspoon, he's going to make his case for Rookie of the Year if he keeps his play up.
He already won Defensive Player of the Week.
Well, he should have.
Yeah.
I mean, definitely. Well, hold on. Khalil Mack had, for NFC,
yeah, but
right?
they do that NFC, AFC. Khalil Mack won for the AFC.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Because I was going to say, my argument was going to be Khalil Mack, but then obviously Chargers. Geno Smith, he comes out. He's looking good in that first quarter, and I got him in a league. I needed him to do well for me to come home, bring home a victory. And then what happens, Kevin? He gets rolled up on and goes in. He is a drive or two, and then comes back and is a shell of what he was when he started the game. And of course, I'm not able to get that victory because that's how it works.
They
Kenneth
barely
Walker,
threw in the second half because
right?
at one point, Ken Walker had like 4 carries for 0 yards and a touchdown.
Yeah,
Then he
he did
broke
not.
off that long one, and then all of a sudden they just gave him the ball play after play. And why
Yeah, but
not?
I think he looked worse. This is the worst he's looked all
I
season,
agree.
I
He
thought.
didn't look good, but he's also getting killed in the backfield. The Giants D didn't play bad. He's had no chance because they have no offensive line to speak of. It might be the worst one in the last like 10, 15 years of the league. It is that awful.
The only takeaway I think from the Giants side is that Wan'Dale Robinson had 5 catches for 40 yards. He may end up being the go-to guy here. At least the only one you can own as far as receivers go.
Yeah, I prefer to own none of them.
Yeah.
Barkley should be back this week, though. They said he was be able to do everything he needed to do in practice today, so he should be back.
How many points are the Dolphins going to put on the Giants this week?
48.
Are they going to beat their 70?
Nah, I don't think that'll happen. 40. I'd give them 48. I think they'll be in the 40s.
How many points in the Chiefs Vikings game?
Total?
Yeah.
65.
Wow. So you're definitely taking the over of whatever Vegas says.
Yet I'm sitting Cousins because I'm playing Richardson.
Well, yeah, that his floor. I think that's the right call. All right, you ready for our starts of the week?
Sure.
All right, let's do it. You want to go first with the QB?
Absolutely. I picked somebody that you hate, but there wasn't anything that I really loved here. But I went with Jordan Love against the Raiders because the worst team against the quarterback is Denver. Well, I'm sure as heck not going to play Zach Wilson. The Bears, no, I'm never going to say Sam Howell's the player of the week. Danny Dimes against Miami. How can I say that after he just threw up negative points? So what am I supposed to do? So I had to go with Jordan Love having a pretty good game versus the Raiders.
Well, sir, you brought up my start of the week, which I already did in week 1, I believe, when he was QB 11. And let's go back to the Sam Howell.
Yeah, have fun with
that. Thursday night game. Yeah, it's fine. The Bears giving up the second most fantasy points to quarterbacks. Sam Howell hasn't looked terrible. Terry McLaurin's going to run free. Jahan Dotson's going to be fine. I'm loving it. Let's do it.
I can't do it. Sam Howell is so awful. I'll be so happy when he just goes away and they bring in somebody else because I'm just tired of it.
He's not going away, buddy. Not this week. He's going to be QB1 again.
We'll see.
Who's your running back?
I picked our boy Breece Hall.
Ah, yes. Love it.
Not? Denver against the Jets. Jets are what, about 8th or 9th worst against the run. They're taking the gloves off. Why not have him? Or wait, no, that's Denver. Hold on. Let me look at Denver. Denver is actually worst against the run. Sorry, I'm looking at all my stuff here. Yeah, Denver's actually worst against the run. I think Breece needs to take over. Let Wilson do the plays he needs to do. Let the guy, the best player on your team, why don't you let him do all the work?
I love that. Well, I'm going with the guy we were talking about earlier, JBurrow. I know he was an early round, like a 3rd round pick in fantasy drafts, but dude, this guy has been so underwhelming. He's an RB 28. People were asking, should I bench him? Should I, is he even worth a flex start? He is only 1 spot ahead of Jaylen Warren. People don't know if they should start Jaylen Warren. Well, if you're starting Gibbs, you might as well start Warren. They're basically the same player right now. But Carolina is the 4th worst team in the league against running backs. I think it's a perfect spot for them to get Gibbs going. The Lions should lead most of this game. They can get him some mop-up work, pad those fantasy stats.
Why am I friends with you?
What? Let's hear it. What?
He's not even the number 1 back on his own team. Why wouldn't you just pick Montgomery? You think for some reason they're going to flip-flop roles? The 7 carries to 32 carries is going to flip this week, so you would play Gibbs instead? You just said earlier in the show you're worried about Gibbs. You don't even know if he should be on the teams anymore.
I don't think you understand how this segment works.
Apparently not. Please explain. You're saying your play of the week is a guy who's not even the running back play of the week on his own team.
Kevin, why would I tell people they need to start the running back 9? David Montgomery's a top
David
10 running.
Montgomery, no, see, that's not true. It's not like telling people to play David Montgomery is like telling them to play CMC. That's just not the same. He had
They're
one
not-
week that blew him like up through the rankings, but you're picking
anyone-
Gibbs over Montgomery?
No, listen, Kevin. Is
Okay,
anyone going to bench? Is anyone going to bench David Montgomery? The answer is no.
No, they might.
Stop.
It's
You
just David
have a
Montgomery.
pretty.
It's just David Montgomery. He had one big week. Just like a lot of people still didn't play A-Chan last week because after one big week.
David Montgomery has 5 touchdowns. He's scored every week he's played.
Yeah, he's not that exciting. He had one big week. Okay, keep going. One big week.
Top 10 running
So
back.
you want to play the guy, though, who basically carries his jock around for him on the sideline.
People are wondering if they should bench JGibbs. I am saying don't do that. So Jordan Love, you would start him over Patrick Mahomes? I'm going to give you your same stupid
See,
argument.
that's not. See, again, Patrick Mahomes is in the CMC world. You're talking about a backup running back as a starter? Is your play of the week?
Yes, because not everyone is going to play him. So I'm encouraging people to play him because I think he's going to have a good week.
Okay.
My
I encourage
starts-
you not to play him. He's trash.
My starts of the week are never bigger than a flex or never more than a flex play.
I agree.
Like that's what I'm doing here.
But I'm very confused by this.
We're going to have to talk about this to maybe get you on track with what the segment we've been doing for 2
No,
years.
I know because I've been doing it along with you, but that's a weird one.
Okay. Who's your wide receiver, Kevin? I hope it's a wide receiver 2 for a team.
I'm going to pick like the wide receiver 7 on a team and say that this he's due for a big
Great.
game.
Kylan Granson.
But in fact, I actually picked Michael Pittman.
So did I, son of a gun. I hate you so much. I despise.
Very good. Yeah.
Only one catch last week, but the first 3 weeks he went 8, 8, and 9. And who are they playing, Kevin?
Oh, who are they playing? Tennessee.
Yeah, and you start your receivers against Tennessee.
Yeah,
They're
you made
terrible.
a good call there, saving Puka to play against.
Told you.
Indy.
That was
He
my
didn't do
plan
a
from
lot.
the
I mean, he had a good game, but in overtime, he had more
Yes.
points in overtime than he had in regulation combined. So you really hit the nail on the head on that one. That was a good pick. But yeah, I think he's the guy that this week could finally put something together.
tight end for you.
I mentioned him earlier. I picked Mr. Kincaid against Jacksonville, second most points against tight ends. Dawson Knox may or may not even play. His usage is going down about 20% every week. Knox, that is. And Kincaid, this might be the week he finally cements his name as the clear-cut starter there.
Maybe. I mentioned earlier, I'm a little worried about his production going forward, but Tyler Higbee, who's averaging 7 fantasy points a game, but he's still a top 10 or 12 tight end. He's going to go against a Philly defense that refuses to cover tight ends that aren't named Kate Otten. So depending on how much work Cooper Kupp's going to have, probably not a full, serving of snaps. The Philly defense can be exploited over the middle of the field with tight ends. So I'm rolling with Higbee.
Well done, sir. Makes sense.
And who's your defense?
But defense, well, we skipped kickers.
We've been skipping them every week, Kevin.
Well, I'm not
Welcome.
this week. I picked Cairo Santos because the Commanders give up the most points against kickers. But as far as a defense, I picked the Dolphins.
Of course you did, because I also picked Miami.
That's
How
a
can you not
no-brainer. The
pick
Giants are awful and give up the most points to fantasy defenses. It's at Miami. They're coming off shell shock, short week. This could just be a freaking nightmare for the Giants.
I agree. All right, that's it. Anything else before we get out of here?
It seemed like there was something, but I don't remember what it was. So I guess it's time to move on, my friend.
Awesome. Thank you all for listening. Be sure to check us out on Spotify, on YouTube, on Facebook. Get Your Bell Rung Football Podcast. Kevin, I'll see you maybe Saturday.
Later, brother. I hope so. See ya.
See ya.